We are back here today, episode 2 of the intersection between business and art, bringing together the widest range of creatives, entrepreneurs, technologists, and artists under the same circle and building common ground. Mirza was actually my very first person I ever interviewed on this journey to use content to try and build a community. And now we're back 5 years later.
5 years, that's crazy.
I know, right? So as a 22-year-old now, looking back on 2017, what do you think your expectations were for like being a 22-year-old at the time? How do you look back on that period now in hindsight of like the entrepreneurial teenage years?
I still don't feel like I'm 22. I still feel like I'm like 17-year-old. I don't know, like when people say the older you get, you look back and like, oh, that's so old, but I'm like 22. I don't feel old at all. I feel the same 17-year-old Mirza that used to, build stuff for fun, goes to hackathon. But this 22-year-old Mirza is more wiser, has more resources. Very naive when I was 17. I had a lot of very ambitious goals that made no sense. Like, I think we all set our, goals like, be this, be this. But then you look back and you just become like, damn, why did I set that? And then you become like, But I think it's good to have those goals because that will make you like do stuff, crazy stuff, like, put you on the edge. Okay, let's get X, Y, and Z done. Also I've been through a lot of burnout at like 17, 18. And then I'll just like give up on everything. I'm like, whatever. And then like for me to get back to the, momentum, it was very hard.
Well, how do you view burnout? Because I go back and forth on it. I don't think that burnout is like work really hard for a certain period of time, you're just going to burn out by default. I think it's more complicated.
Burnout, I believe burnout happens when you have unrealistic expectation and you just stuff that you can't control. And when you can't control, you get so frustrated. Yeah. And that energy. So I think burnout happens when you don't enjoy stuff, and then when you have unrealistic expectation for whatever you're doing.
Agreed. That's a great answer, actually. It's like the friction between the expectations and the reality.
It's just like it's a force that's pulling you from both sides. And then when you resent stuff, it doesn't make
frustrating.
It's frustrating, and you don't have enjoyment doing it. When you don't have enjoyment doing it, you don't want to do it. And then guess what? This is like the whole delay of burnout. I don't think I'll ever have burnout now. I think how do you work less but get more stuff done? I think that's what we want to do. And if you can do that successfully, you will not be burnt out. But yeah, I think just work intense and then just rest. I think that's just been my blueprint to avoid burnout for anyone.
It's a good work hard, rest hard.
Right, work very hard, but rest very hard too, because you need to rest.
Nice. How about let's move on to the next question. So throughout high school, you pretty much taught yourself how to code.
Right.
And even in college, you were kind of in college, but not really in college, and you were just working on your own projects, ended up working with someone who you would go straight on to having a full-time job with. School for you has been something that wasn't necessarily the most helpful when it came to learning how you do what you do. That's not to say school's bad, but like, would you mind talking a little bit about your experience with?
School is extremely bad.
Okay, I mean, I'm not but I personally think school sucks, and
No, it's not. It's not that it just sucks. There's a lot of stuff obviously that you can't declare bankruptcy against. That's bad. School is just all outdated stuff. You don't really learn shit. And a lot of my friends who are graduating now and then are working like minimum wage job. They have like degrees and like really good, different degrees. They're now like shit. I have this whole degree, but I can't even use it. You know what I mean? Basically, you're wasting time, which is the most valuable asset. You can't get back time. So yeah, school is extremely bad for 90% of people. Reasons. Again, if you want to be a marketing person, don't go to college. Give yourself I watched this video the other day. The guy was talking about give yourself $200 budget and then run ads. You learn more stuff way more stuff about writing a copy, running the right demographic ads. You learn so much. You learn so much from just doing it and going and mentoring for people. That's much better than going to college and then getting this marketing degree to write a business plan. You might know how to write a business plan, but you don't know how to run a business.
So Mirza, you are an anti-flexer. You don't really post on social media that much. Anybody who brags or boasts too much, even if they can back it up, tends to rub you the wrong way. You see it as a red flag. So what's your view on like flexing and self-promotion, and when does it become a negative thing?
I think everything done in moderation is great. It's the intention, right? I think usually a lot of people who flex are trying to put people down, and it's deep rooted from their insecurities. So I just have bad experience with people who flex a lot, and I try not to be them, so I don't flex. And also, it's a lot better when people find out X, Y, and Z. The feeling of someone else finding out about my accomplishment without me telling them is, it's a lot better than me just telling them.
Like over promising and under delivering.
Yeah, that practice, I live by that. I think I always under promise and over deliver. I think it's a good rule. Take out all the expectation and then go from there.
Well, let's wrap this up with talking about all the stuff you're working on these days. You're working on this app that helps. It's basically like a habit tracker, monk mode. Every time I'm like, Mirza, what are you doing? You're like, monk mode right now, bro. I'm in monk mode.
I am, as we speak. I'm currently in monk mode. I don't.
Before we talk about the monk mode app, can we talk about how you define monk mode?
Basically cutting out a lot of instant gratification, activities, and focusing a lot on delayed gratification, removing a lot of stuff from your life that's not adding value. It just works really well for me because I'm super extremist, so it's not extremist. I'm just more disciplined. I don't like the way it sounds. Not extremist, but I'm just very disciplined.
So going to the monk mode app, you you basically created an app that eliminates all the distractions and gives you a place to focus on all of your intentions. So on my monk mode app, I have no alcohol, no nicotine. I have study Spanish 30 minutes. I have learn to code 30 minutes.
Exactly, but I used to do this on like Notes app, and then I started having one accountability partner, and then it kind of grew to like multiple accountability partners. Basically, a really good accountability tool. There's actually like 60 daily active users I have. Like it launched like less than a week ago. That's one project. Another project I'm working on or I've already worked on is called Nia. It's basically meetups, but niche down to like Islamic events that are happening near you, essentially. And then,
well, you told me while you were getting this off the ground that you felt like, or you saw your Islamic community were coming to you asking for something like this, but also that there wasn't really anything out there that helped you easily find events that wasn't like a really clunky system online.
Right. Personally, I do have a problem when I do go to different mosques. I don't know what events are happening. I have to go to their mosque, which is a website, which no one wants to go to a website to just see events, in my opinion. And a lot of these websites are outdated. The UI is very clunky. So I thought someone gave me the idea to build something where it connects all different mosques and aggregates all the events and consolidates and synthesizes all the information in one app where you can basically browse all the events that are happening and then click and make the intention of going. That's what it's called. Nia is Arabic word for making the intention. And then you can add that to your calendar. You'll get a notification. Yeah, it's a very good, nice tool that I built.
And then you have this third thing, which I think is really beautiful, is you have this like system that's kind of on the backlog that could be a platform for therapy / life coaching, specifically right now focused on Muslim people. But you said yourself that there's kind of like a stigma within the Muslim community towards therapy, and your goal isn't necessarily to shift that stigma, but is to just give quality therapy and support to people who otherwise wouldn't have thought about or have wanted to find it, but just because of either a lack of resources or people who understand them from a Muslim perspective or therapy stigma, all these block barriers to getting that support, now you might have an outlet.
Right. And again, it's in the backlog. I have to talk to a lot of therapists to figure out their pain points and stuff. But it's a very ambitious goal, and I'm definitely going to market it more towards coaching, not therapy. Mm-hmm. But I kind of envision it more of a coaching on-demand platform. I'm starting off as in the niche of Muslim people, but eventually it's going to be like anyone and everyone. That's right. That's getting guidance about business coach, life coach, gym coach, vocal coach, you know, career coach. There's not a platform or marketplace I know of that allow that, and I think it would be very useful to have this. I don't know much about therapy in general, so I do have to talk to a lot of therapists and figure out their pain points. Hopefully, inshallah, I'll have something up before the end of this year. I've done what, 2 apps in like 5 weeks. I built 2 apps, production ready, and then this is going to be a big project. But I want to take time, understand the problem before I build it, because building is not that it's very easy. Small group of people, have small group of people that love the product versus having like thousands of people just liking it. So I don't know. You know everything about me, and you're still asking these questions. It's funny.
So
it just
what?
seems funny to me that you know everything about me. You've known me for what, 8 years?
The answers aren't for me. The answers are for the people. We're trying to give the people good knowledge nuggets.
Back again. It's like a whole circle. Hopefully you continue this. I think you're really good at this. Just keep going. You'll go really far.
Thank you. All right. Well, before we sign off, just give a little last few words from yourself about like where you're headed, anybody that you potentially want to connect with if they're watching, and where you want to take the life of Mirza within the next few months.
Next few months, just put my head down and just focus on one thing and not add a lot of stuff to my plate. That's definitely my goal. As far as reach out, people who have experience in therapy, would be in coaching, definitely reach out to me. Or email me, rock.vague555 at gmail.com. Yeah, that's the best place to get a hold of me.